Okay guys, it's time to start chapter 2. We're going to talk about data analysis in chapter 2, and this chapter will be broken up over several videos. We might watch one video a night or we might watch a couple a night. It'll just depend. What we're going to talk about today are units and converting units and measurements. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, units are symbols that follow a number to tell you the type of measurement. If I say that it takes 5 for me to get from here to my house, then you don't know if that's 5 miles, 5 minutes, 5 seconds, or if somebody was going to tell you, I'll meet you in 20. Well, is that 20 hours, 20 days, 20 minutes, right? So we have to have units at the end to make of the number to make sure we know what type of measurement it is. Now, scientists use standard units of measurement that together form the International System of Units, and we shorten that to be SI units. And so we use these SI units for consistency so that we can compare data and labs around the world without having inconsistencies. Now let's look at SI base units. These are the base units, what people prefer to measure those certain quantities by. But that doesn't mean that we don't measure length by miles. It just means that the preferred unit for scientists are meters. Okay, so you can use other measurements or other units, but these are the preferred units for the SI base units. All right, now we're going to talk about converting measurements. We're going to start with temperatures. There are actually, you can convert any of the units of temperature, Fahrenheit, Celsius, Kelvin, to the other one, but for our sake, we only need to learn one conversion, and that's going from Celsius to Kelvin and from Kelvin to Celsius. I know it looks like two, but it's really one conversion. I've just written it both ways for you, so you didn't have to figure it out yourself. Anyway, so if you have Celsius temperature, you have to add 273 to get to Kelvin. If you start with Kelvin and you need to go to Celsius, you have to subtract 273. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to practice. I want you to pause the video, and on your notes, go ahead and write down 1 and 2 and solve it. Resume the video once you're ready to check your answers. All right, number 1 should have been 283 Kelvin. Number 2 should have been 51 degrees Celsius. If you didn't get these right, make sure you jot it down or star it or something so you know to ask me in class. Look at converting other types of measurements. Now these, you're going to use a ladder method, and the ladder is this order. We have kilo, hecta, deca, the base unit, deci, centi, milli. You skip 2 spaces and you have micro. You skip 2 spaces and you have nano. Now, one way we memorize this in physical science is King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, but we did not have micro and nano in physical science. So the way I remember it, you can choose any way you want to because this is silly, but the way I remember it is King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, for micro, and then Nestle. So the are reminding me that there's 2 spaces in between each of those because you'll need those spaces when doing the conversions. Now let me show you the steps on how to use the ladder method. The first thing you need to do is determine the starting point. And you also need to determine the ending point also in that first step. I should have written that in there. So determine the starting point and the ending. These are the prefixes that you just saw. Ending point. Then you're going to count your jumps from the starting point to the ending point, and that will tell you which direction to move the decimal and how many spaces to move the decimal. Let's look at an example. If we have 4 kilometers equals how many meters? That's what we've been given. The starting point is the number we've been given, so the starting point is kilometers. Now, when you have 2 letters like this, that means you're somewhere on the scale or the ladder other than base. The base unit always has 1 letter. So if you have 1 letter as the unit, you always know you're at the base. If you have more than 1 letter, you're somewhere else on the ladder. So our starting point is kilometers, so that's over here. So that's where we're starting. Our ending point is what we're looking for. So our ending point is the base unit right here. So let's count our jumps. We go from starting point to ending point. So we say 1, 2, 3. That's 3 jumps to the right. So let's take our 4, and there's a decimal right after the 4. Remember, if you don't see the decimal in the original number, the decimal always goes at the end. So it's 4 decimal, and then we have to move that decimal 3 jumps to the right. So this is our new decimal, and any empty spaces you fill with zeros. So we have 4 kilometers equals 4,000 meters. Okay? So that's how to convert measurements and how to convert units. So let's make sure you understand what this ladder stands for. All right, now I would like you guys to practice converting measurements. Here's 2 practice problems. Pause the video, write these down in your notes to show so that you can figure out if you understand it or not. And if you don't understand it, that way you know which questions to ask. Pause the video and resume once you're ready to check your answers. All right, 5 grams. Remember, since it has 1 letter, we are starting at the base unit right here. And we're going to milligrams, which is the M right here. So going from base, we have 1, 2, 3 jumps to the right. If we start with our decimal here, we have 1, 2, 3, which means 5,000. And for microliters, remember we had to start right here, and we were going 2 liters, which would be the base unit. So microliters to liters is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. And that's how you should have written it down there. And I'm sorry it does say number 1, but it should be number 2. So please write any questions you have if this did not make sense. You need to make sure you know the prefix and the symbol. You also need to know the numerical value. You don't have to memorize it. If you'll just remember that base is 1, if you're increasing and going to the left part of the scale, going 2 kilo, you multiply by 10 each time. If you're going down the scale, then you divide by 10 each time. But just don't forget that there's 2 spaces in between milli and micro and 2 spaces between micro and nano. All right, so make sure you're familiar with these SI prefixes. All right, for summary today, you are going to do a speed dating summary. And this is going to be, go ahead and set a timer for 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, I want you to write everything you can about this video and what you learned in the video. So like I said, do 2 minutes of writing for a speed dating summary. And I'll see you in class.